Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome back. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegate III. What's happening, people?
Welcome back to another episode of Q Points, your safe space for meaningful discussions about all things Black music and Black creatives. Jay Ray, this is our 50th show. Can you get into that? It's 50 episodes in, fam.
Wow. So the amount of this is a huge accomplishment because we have been coming here most like 98% of the weeks we have been here.
That's right.
And that is really, really amazing because so often, I'm gonna speak for me personally, in my life, like it's easy to fall off and feel like, oh, I could do something else. But no, I do Q Points with you on Thursdays, and that matters, and that's a huge deal.
It absolutely is, and I feel the same way. I feel like this is a calling that we've answered, and that's what brings us back every single week. Like you said, we've only taken breaks because of family issues that couldn't be helped, but for the most part, we have been delivering, I believe, quality content
Yeah.
to the people. So hey, high five to you, my brother. I'm high fiving myself, and I'm high fiving you, the audience, for staying along with us on this ride. We have really enjoyed you, and we're going to keep going for 50 plus more shows.
Absolutely.
Yes. So if I sound a little different, it's because it is now. Granted, we're in May, but it's still allergy season until probably August here, at least here in Georgia. And I jinxed myself the other day. I was talking to a coworker. I was like, "Oh man, this has been the easiest allergy season ever. I ain't had no problems. I'm Gucci. I'm about to skate out of this allergy season unscathed." The very next day, Mother Nature said, "Aha, aha!
They
I
went through the
got
list
you.
and was like, oh, DJ Sir Daniel forgot. Here we go.
Let's go ahead and release those, those allergens out into the atmosphere and get him." So, yeah, that's my story. That's why I sound like this. But hey, I'm gonna still give it to you this episode of Q Points. How have you been doing?
I
Jerry?
am super, super well. I'm feeling really good today. My mom is doing much better today,
Excellent.
which makes me really happy. Temple University graduated today, my alma mater. So shout out
Nice.
to all of the graduates of Temple University. It's been all over the news all day. And so I'm feeling Really good, and excited about tonight's show. How are you doing aside from allergies, right? How are you doing otherwise?
Aside from allergies, I'm pretty good. I'm excited about this weekend. We'll tell you more about what's going on this weekend. My weekends have been super busy lately,
Hmm.
and that's a good thing. You got to be careful what you ask for, kids, because you just might get it, and
Yes.
that's what's been happening. So it's an embarrassment of riches, just like this show. J Ray, we called it, or at least we put in a really good effort to make some things happen. The final list of inductees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame were announced.
Yes.
And congratulations are due to Lionel Richie, who we campaigned for,
Absolutely.
heavy.
Yes.
And congratulations are due for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I am stoked about it.
Absolutely. We, of course, profiled Lionel Richie during our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame series. For those of you that might have missed that series, we will make sure that we put the link in the description so you can check it out. Because we talked about what Dionne Warwick, Lionel Richie, A Tribe Called Quest, and Fela Kuti. Dope shows, dope series, DJ Sir Daniel interviewed DJ Rasta Root and
Mhm.
Masiki Scales.
Yeah, that
So,
was eventful, very
mhm.
eventful. But speaking of Rasta Root, I gotta ask you, J Ray, do you feel some kind of way that Tribe Called Quest was not inducted?
I do feel some kind of way. Rolling Stone actually has a really interesting article out, which is talking about the fact that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has a hip hop problem, right?
Mm,
So, no matter how influential hip hop has been to the landscape of music, and influential over rock music in particular in the last almost 50 years, still hard to get hip hop the hip hop culture kind of adequately represented in the list. So of course, from a hip hop standpoint, you get Eminem this year. Listen, Eminem is a dope MC. I'm not taking anything away from Eminem's skill as a lyricist, but it's interesting that someone who emerged in the early 2000s can get inducted before Tribe can get inducted. That's weird to me. And the fact that there are Salt and Pepper has never even been nominated.
yeah, don't even. Yeah, I, I ditto everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really weird that the Hall of Fame, has bypassed a whole generation, a whole school
Mm-hmm.
of rap artists to pay homage to somebody else. Like you said, not taking anything away from him. I personally can't say that, I find that music entertaining or
Mm-hmm.
joyful. I've gotten so much more joy from all the other people that we've mentioned.
Absolutely.
But DJ Sir Daniel's joy is not what gets the votes counted. That's not what puts the votes in the tally or whatever. So
Yeah.
bully on me.
Yeah.
But congratulations again to Lionel Richie
Mm-hmm.
and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows if voting does count basically.
It does.
So we need to get behind if these people come up again,
Mm-hmm.
or people that we think need to be inducted comes up
Mm-hmm.
again. We really need to get behind them.
Mm-hmm. And I think you bring up a good point too about the importance of voting, because what we also have often talked about on our show is getting involved on these boards, getting, for
Yeah.
those of you in the industry, right? It's one thing to be an artist and do all of the stuff related to the creation of the music, but also being behind the scenes and being part of the decision makers in all of these different rooms matters too. So being on those voting boards and being able to vote for these things really does matter. And finding ways to get involved for those of you that can is really, really important. And it's something that even us, we need to be looking into, Sir Daniel. Like, we act like we're on the periphery of music culture, and we're not. We are part of it, and we need to take that really seriously. And so I encourage all of us to do that too.
I agree. Well said. Well, Jared Ray, we're on to another segment. So, guys, you noticed that again, this is our 50th show.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to, we're typically very structured and very
Mm-hmm.
regimented about what we're talking about. But tonight, we're just kind of doing like a little free for all between me and J Ray and you, because you are
Mm-hmm.
free to chime in the chat as well. But we just have some things that J Ray and I were talking to each other and we were like, do you care about that?
We have so much to
No.
talk about. There's so
We
much
got stuff to
happening.
talk about. So we're going through a list of things that has been trending recently or has been on your hearts and thoughts recently, and we're going to talk about it too. So
Yes.
the first thing up, of course, there's just no getting around it. The leak of the alleged decision that might repeal Roe versus Wade has really shaken this country. And I know we're a music show, and Jerry and I specifically said we want the people that can have children,
Mm-hmm.
that can carry children. We want this to be all about you
Mm-hmm.
and your decisions and your voices being heard. So the only thing that J Ray and I are going to do, and I'm taking liberty here by
Mm-hmm.
speaking for J Ray, but the only thing that we're here to do is we're here to support you
Mm-hmm.
in making those decisions and having that autonomy over your bodies. J Ray and I, we're right here with you. We stand
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Absolutely. We definitely care about this topic. Sir Daniel, I want to shout out something that you did yesterday on your Instagram. I thought that was really innovative in terms of pulling interview quotes from I think Nicki Minaj, Lil Kim, to talk about their personal experiences. I think that matters, I'm right there with you. This is a conversation that needs to be led by folks who can have children. Sir Daniel and I are not in that camp, and so definitely we support y'all. We're here with y'all, and there's any way and I'm taking a liberty here too, Sir Daniel, because I didn't know I was going to say this. If there's any way that we can amplify messages from y'all, from folks who can have children, so definitely let us know. Because we are here, we come to you on a regular basis, and we would be happy to share that message. So I think you would agree with that too.
And again, we absolutely care about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next up, I mean, the master troll Drake. Drake has been sliding in people's DMs. J Ray, do you care about that?
No, but I think it's really funny.
It's hilarious. Somebody that trolls and does it well, I give it to them. And Drake is hilarious. You all know that Drake was troll. I guess somebody tweeted him, added him online, and made a comment, kind of trying to roast Drake about something. And Drake was like, "Oh, I got you. I'm sliding your wife's DMs,
Which is,
and I'm gonna follow her." And that's exactly what he did.
this is one of those weird things that I would never think to do such a thing. Like, but it's very Drake. He's very
Yeah.
certified lover boy. That's who he is. And like I said, I don't care about this. I do think it's funny. And so I just don't want whoever this person is who Drake is now all up in his her girlfriend too, wife or girlfriend's DMs. You know,
Excuse me.
I think we should take it all in stride.
Listen, it's very on brand
It
because
is.
it's very F Boy summer, because Future's album just dropped,
It
and
did.
Drake, of course, is featured on the album. Drake and Future are giving you F Boy anthems, so this is very on brand for that audience. Enjoy. The summer is yours. You are about to have a fantastic summer. But do I care about this? Not really.
No, really. What about y'all? Do y'all care about? Well, one, do you care about the Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court document leak? Let us
Mm-hmm.
know in the comments, either here live or on the show when you watch it or listen. And do you care about Drake sliding up in some some, some random person he doesn't know DMs as kind of a way to troll somebody? Let us know if you care. We don't care.
If only look, somebody said if Drake had the same kind of energy. Imagine if he's had the same kind of energy for Pusha T.
Oh, that is a whole other conversation. And shout out to Pusha T's whose new album came out last week. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Next up. So Danielle Smith dropped. She had a drop this week. Shine Bright, a very personal history of Black women in pop, dropped today, or no, yesterday. So, J Ray, do you care about this? Oh, I absolutely care about it. Yo, Danielle Smith, Shine Bright. Now, I used to side eye people that always like to talk about, oh, my summer reading list, yeah, whatever. Look, I'm on board this summer, and this is on my summer reading list. Shine Bright, a very personal history of Black women in pop. I would say this: I have been a fan of Danielle Smith for years, since she was at Vibe magazine. Um, but I think I really stand her when she was on one of those VH1 countdown shows about one hit wonders or whatever. And Danielle Smith gave props to JJ Fad, and I was like, and y'all know how I feel about JJ Fad.
right.
So I was like, me and Danielle Smith are here. So no, I've been following her for a while. I've been a fan of the Black Girl Songbook podcast, and I am very interested to see more of her perspective in Shine Bright. So if you're looking, you've never heard Sir Daniel do like a book recommendation, this is definitely one to go check out. So Shine Bright, I care about Shine Bright for sure.
Yes, and I co-sign that. So first of I've been doing a lot more. I'm back to reading this year, which is super fun. And this has actually been on the list of books I have been waiting for. And I am also very excited to really dive into this. I have always appreciated the perspective of Danielle Smith whenever I get a chance to either read her work or see her speak about her work. We recently fanboyed. She did the piece on Lionel Richie, actually, that we used as kind of the anchor for our show. And so, yeah, Shine Bright is out. And shout out to Danielle Smith, because I called 2 bookstores before I was actually able to get this copy from Barnes and Noble. I called 2 bookstores first, and the first one, both of them were like, "No, I'm out. I gotta order it." And I was like, "Shout out to Danielle, yo! Like, there are places that are out of this." And so, yeah.
Listen, I was so geeked about it. I went looking for it Sunday, and I went to one of my favorite stores, Moods Music, and here in Little 5 Points. And shout out to DJ Dynamite Dave. He was like, "Nah, bro, we don't have it. You got to come back Wednesday." I said, "Okay, I'll be back." I will be back. And shout out to Daryl Harris, the owner of Moods Music, who was there today and hadn't even opened the box yet. And when I came in there, I was like, "So do you have it?" He was like, "Let me look it up." Oh, it's in that box. Shout out to Daryl for opening up the box and getting it out to me so I could go ahead and come home with this today. So shout out to Moods Music and Little 5 Points.
Yes, and their link is in the chat, and we'll make sure that it's in the description as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What's up next, J Ray?
So, the Met Gala happened this week. There was a lot of this kind of snuck up on me a little bit. The fact that the
Yeah.
Met Gala happened this week, actually. But I'm always really interested in the fashions that kind of come out of it. I think it's always a good time. This week, of course, Questlove, as an homage to Andre Leon Talley, was on the red carpet, or whatever they call the carpet at the Met Gala. It's a fancy
Yeah.
carpet or whatever. But Quest looking real fly, in an outfit that is reminiscent of the great Andre Leon Talley, who passed away earlier this year. So definitely something to talk about.
Yeah, I the Met Gala is a good time on Twitter to watch all the tweets from the fashionistas and closet stylists that come out of retirement to commentate on Twitter. So it's always a good time. One thing I was adamant about, I was like, they better pay homage to Andre Leon Talley.
Mm-hmm.
They have got to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping for something on a larger scale, but shout out to Questlove for for putting in his this effort here to
Mm-hmm.
pay homage to Andre Leon Talley, who's his shadow is still looming over us, in the fashion world and those who appreciate what he has done. Um, I was also there was a lot of representation in hip hop. You had Nicki Minaj there, you
Mm-hmm.
had Meg The Stallion,
Mm-hmm.
of course Kid Cudi,
Mm-hmm.
and quite a few other people
Mm-hmm.
representing in hip hop at the Met Gala.
Cardi B, definitely
Cardi
real
B,
fly.
oh yes,
Real
yes, yes,
hip
yes.
hop. That whole dress was real New York.
Yeah, the gold and
Mm-hmm.
Versace, that's hip hop all day long. But I really want to give a shout out to director Rada Blank.
Yeah.
Rada Blank showed up and gave a whole different perspective on the Gilded Era
Yeah.
by showing up in. First of all, this is a custom made outfit. I saw the video of the behind the scenes, custom made of whether you call in the West Indies we call them an obi, a woman,
Mm-hmm.
of the somebody who practices um what people would call hoodoo,
Mm-hmm.
Santeria, those the different practices of connecting with the ancestors and conjure, all those different things that come into play, come together and practiced by people of African descent
Mm-hmm.
who got dropped off in the West Indies
Mm-hmm.
and Hawaii, all those different places, and this is pure representation of that, and it's dope. On top of that,
Yeah.
she got the cigar,
Mm-hmm.
what we say in the West, back in Barbados, the cutlass, ready to chop some snakes or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was dope. Rada, I got to know because of the 40-year-old virgin version
Mm-hmm.
that came out on Netflix a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Dope movie if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, that was my favorite look of the night.
Yeah. Um, I- every year there's always something surprising. I am happy that folks of color choose to use this as an opportunity to really speak to the world, and this is a perfect example of doing that. Um, because when you look at stuff like the Met Gala, these folks are invited to come. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the reason why they get to be on the red carpet. They're invited to come and be part of it. And it is an opportunity to use your voice to really talk about what's happened and what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. And this is just a really dope example of how to use a platform to be able to communicate to the people.
Oh, and before we get off of this, shout out again to my Bajan sister, who was not even there,
Not even physically present.
not even physically present, and she still shut down the Met Gala again.
Exactly.
Robin Fenty won. That's all I'm gonna say. I know y'all saw the video, y'all saw the statue. Robin Fenty won yet again, y'all. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So
Yeah, Rihanna be winning. And also she looks really dope in the new ASAP Rocky video that just dropped today. Yeah, shout out to Rihanna, who's just kind of who once again is another person who does use her platform in unique ways. And so yeah, she wasn't even physically present and still shut it down. So that was
still
super
shut it
dope.
down. So something we both care about
Hmm.
that happened recently, and since we're talking about representation and using your platform, recently Saucy Santana
Hmm.
announced that he has inked a deal with RCA Records, which is a major label,
Yep.
and now he has a big machine behind him, and there's a lot that comes with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I care about this because
Yes.
it's huge. But J Ray, I know you have some thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I care about this too. And one, just want to send love to Saucy Santana. There was actually a video that came out, I think sometime last week,
Excuse
where
me.
it was just like a huge mob of people. I can't remember. I don't know where Saucy Santana was, but there was just this huge mob of people, and he had to kind of be protected by his security. And this, as I was also feeling with Lil Nas X, wants to make sure that Saucy Santana is protected and taken care of, because this is a big deal. What I love about this happening is we are seeing black queer representation in a different way on a major platform that does not happen. Like, that's why Lil Nas X was so unique, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to see that kind of representation, and Saucy Santana is another kind of representation still within our community, right? So I'm excited about that. So I care about this for that reason. I also I'm always really curious about, will the majors do right by our folks, right?
Yeah.
So there's always this kind of trepidation of like, please let this deal be the right deal. Please let Saucy Santana be able to be Saucy Santana. But with the machine to go even further. And also, please just make sure that things are good. So, we are standing in love with Saucy Santana, and we are celebrating with him during this is another landmark opportunity for black queer representation, which is super dope.
It is. So to piggyback off of what you said, it is Saucy Santana is definitely the other side of a coin
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, if we're talking about, everybody wants to compare him to Little Nas X, of
Mm-hmm.
course. I think Santana is definitely doing it for the hood.
Absolutely.
Is the hood version, if you
Yeah.
would. And I agree with you. There is what just based on what I've seen, he doesn't strike me as the type of person that won't allow himself to be authentic at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not the machine is going to agree with that is different. I do hope in 2022 that his representation has made sure everything is thorough
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a partnership.
Yes.
Most of these deals nowadays have to be partnerships, and everybody has to make good on what they say they're going to produce on these contracts. So I have a good feeling about it because dude is a hustler.
Absolutely.
He's definitely a hustler in all the sense of the words,
Mm-hmm.
based on his history. So, and I think this is major. I am interested to see what the hip hop purists, how they're going to react, or does it even matter anymore? Does do the hip hop purists does their opinions kind of don't matter,
Right.
in all honesty. And if we're talking about pure numbers, they probably won't even matter at this point because his audience is already built in and
Right.
is growing.
Yep.
But just in the historical context, when we talk about hip hop and rap music, is this going to be a moment that is recognized and documented? And will the people, I'm not like, well, for us for sure, we'll make sure that that this still is recognized. But with the other people, the other gatekeepers, the people that are gatekeepers of the culture and the keepers of the culture and the reporters and the journalists and the photographers and whatnot, when the history books, other shine brights come out down the line, will they speak the names of Saucy Santana and Lil Nas X? We'll see.
We'll see. I know for a fact this is going to be really interesting. So I was having a conversation Sunday before I left Atlanta. It was right after I saw you. Shout out to you too, because DJ Sir Daniel's set over at Rocksteady was really dope on Sunday. I had a good time.
Thank you.
After that, had a conversation with another brother, a friend of mine, and he was actually talking to some folks in the culture who didn't even know that Saucy Santana was popping. You know what I'm saying? And they were like really surprised, like from what the conversation and what I got from it, like, yo, not even recognizing that this was moving. So I do think there are going to be folks within the culture, not within the business side. I think those folks know what's going on. Right. You know what I'm saying? They know that Saucy Santana's popping. But there are going to be folks, I think, like that out on the street, like regular folks who listen to hip hop that probably don't know, and so I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be important for us to rally behind Saucy Santana as we have done for Lil Nas X. I feel like we've done a good job of making sure that Lil Nas X Lil Nas X ain't need our help either. He's really good about handling his business. But I do think folks are going to be surprised, and some folks might be taken aback. But listen, Saucy Santana's already here, been popping, been dropping bops. So now you're going to get to hear him on the big stages, and I'm excited about it.
All right. Well, another revelation, and let me go ahead and change my voice for this one. There was another revelation this week from Ray J saying that the whole sex tape scandal was not even like a leak. It was really orchestrated by everybody involved, which is bananas to me.
Really?
It brings up because it brings up more questions.
Okay.
Like I start asking questions. I'm like, so wait a minute. This means Sonya knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how protective Sonya is about her kids because they can't do any wrong.
We're talking Sonya Norwood, mother of Brandy and Ray J.
Mm-hmm. And that means that Chris knew about it. Yeah. And she was all on board.
Right.
And helped orchestrate everything. So that brings up all different questions to me about parenting and what you were willing to watch your kids do, because according to Ray J, what we saw as the public, and yes, we all saw it. Don't act like you didn't watch clips of that movie. Right. You saw it. You saw that movie.
Right. They were adults. It was fine. This one we could actually watch. They was grown people.
They were grown people. But apparently what we saw wasn't the only cut. That wasn't the only video. Mm-hmm. There were several copies. There were several versions of sex tapes that were supposed to be like released in like maybe Booty Talk 1, 2, and 3. It's gonna be Ray J and Kim 2 volumes 1, 2, 1 through 4.
Right.
So yeah, it just brings up a lot of different questions on both ends, no pun intended.
Right. Okay, so one, I don't care about this, but I do care. But there's an aspect of it, and I think you've touched on one of the aspects. But I think the aspect that I care about most is what Ray J's. The reason why he wanted to speak up, and the fact of he was like, listen, I was made the villain in this whole thing. And so when we start talking about black men and their treatment in particular in popular culture, I am concerned that happened. I also understand that according to Ray J, he was part of, how this all came to be. I also find it, they rich, y'all. They real rich. And this is the starting point of it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I feel weird about that. Not about the sex part. I'm very sex positive. It's not the sex part that was a thing. And they were consenting adults.
Right.
That's not the thing. The thing is the Kim and her family are now, mega stars as a result of this. And Ray J just didn't have the same experience. I have feelings about that.
Okay. I, you know, Ray J kind of leaned into it too.
Uh-huh.
He benefited from the whole bad boy image. I don't think he's no shrinking violet
No. No, no, no.
by any means,
Absolutely.
and he's not poor. Shout out to Raycon.
Shout out to Raycon, yo.
you
If y'all want to hook
he
up with, if y'all want to talk to Q points,
by
call
all
us.
means. But I do echo your concern about, or it's the whole visual of, they have, this particular family has built their social presence, their social um currency
Mm-hmm.
on the backs of black culture, black people.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
everything, it seems
Everything.
just really calculated, and it
Mm-hmm.
could, well, it probably is.
Right.
But everything is from who they've married to who they've had children with, who they divorced. Everything is built off of the backs of these black superstars,
Mm-hmm.
or superstars in the making. And so it's just very telling, and it's like, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything we can do about it now.
Mm-mm.
That gate has been open, and that horse is taken off, and it's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find it really, I don't know. That's why I just don't buy into anything that they do, because it's just super manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing that they were leaving television. We're no longer doing our reality show. But here we are. We're back on Hulu. We're doing another, just showing you what happened after we decided to buy away from the spotlight. It's just too much for me. But yeah, shout out to Ray J for him telling his story.
Absolutely. Shout out to that. And of course, Kris Jenner responded, or allegedly, there's an alleged response. It comes from sources close to. They do a lot of sources close to.
Don't you love them?
Yeah. And yeah. So like I said, I don't really care about this. I do find it telling as well. So I'm with you on
Yes.
that. I find it telling, and I'm also happy that Ray J is in a position where he can talk about it. I'm sure he's at a point now where he was like, whatever that NDA said, I could just pay it. It's whatever. Like,
Yeah, like that NZI is probably extinct by now.
extinct by now, or it's a couple $1,000,000, and he like, I got that in the bank. I could just like pay whatever.
So,
So
sorry guys, that was my very poor LA accent of Ray J. Of Ray J. Sorry.
So yeah, that's a thing that happened this week.
This week.
Interesting.
All right, so we love a Twitter list, and a list came out today, and somebody dropped this list of top 50 greatest. It's top 50 greatest female rappers of all time. I don't know if you read that, saw that at the top. They listed greatest twice. And
Greatest, and they in all time is in lowercase. It's a lot of bad things about this list.
yeah, it's funny how, so it kind of took off,
Right.
because you've got people like Rob Digger responding to it, saying how this is hilarious.
Right.
because there are a lot of choices on here. I'm going to put it that way.
To say the least. This is a weird list.
Jerry, who do you know who Jonelle Monet
I
is?
have no idea who Jonelle Monet is. Somebody on your Twitter said the funniest thing. They said, I thought it was Janelle Monet's rapping alter ego that I've never heard of. I don't know
That's
who
who that.
Jonelle Monet is. And even if this person meant Janelle Monet not a rapper.
She is not a rapper. In the words of Remy Ma, she's not a rapper.
She's not a
She's not a rapper.
rapper.
And speaking of Remy Ma, she's like down at 33. There, how, how,
Below some other names here that I would be like, no.
and shout out to Tags, or what's the name of her store in Phipps Plaza if it's still there. Shout out to Rashida.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to you and the Capers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that whole Atlanta thing back in the late 90s. So Rashida, you put in some work. But how is Rashida over Rem? How is
How
Rashida over Azalea Banks?
how is Iggy Azalea over Bahamadia? How is
Excuse me?
Iggy Azalea on the list?
First and foremost, that's what needs to be asked.
How is
Answered.
Fergie on the list?
Wait, where is Fergie on this
Fergie
list?
is number 38, below Angel Hayes, but above Azalea Banks, above Bahamadia, above Rod Digger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And listen, and listen, I know Kaya has been a lot of things, but she don't deserve to be below
Number
Charlie
50.
Baltimore. She don't deserve that.
No, no. Definitely not. And Shauna, why is Bahamadia, Rod Digger, and Shauna so far? You know what? I can't.
Don't
I don't know.
understand. I
I
don't.
just don't understand. I think the list was just a way of getting people upset, getting people to talking like we are right now, because clearly whoever came up with this list is of a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
and shout out to them for knowing who Roxanne Shante is and Mia X and Yo Yo.
Mm-hmm.
I give you credit because you can't have this list without the Queen Mothers on there.
Mm-hmm.
But you played yourself when you put Fergie on there. I'm sorry.
It's a weird. This is
It's
not a
really
good
weird.
list.
Just really weird. It's not even. It's just random.
It's random.
It was randomly put together. Let's
It
say that.
is. There's names on this list. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know who that is, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me
but
know
yeah,
who Rocky Bad is. Like, tell us in an email or something. Let us know who
yeah.
Rocky
Does
is.
anybody know
Rocky
who?
Bad? Is that somebody who we should know?
Right.
Now I do know who Honey Cocaine is from about 10 years
Uh
ago.
huh.
I recognize that name, and I recognize the name Snow the Product.
Yep. There's a couple
There's a
I
Yeah.
recognize. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just no. You know what I
Mm,
feel like this is? Okay, Sir Daniel. Okay, Sir Daniel.
okay.
We're gonna give. I think I figured it out.
All right.
This list is just the list of names, but they're not in order of best to worst.
Ah.
I think this is just a list of 50.
Oh, here's another mind f.
Mm-hmm.
What if the list is really in reverse order, and Kaya is number one?
Then that means
I
that
stand
means
corrected.
then that means Charlie Baltimore is number 3, and I have
Yes.
other questions now.
Shout out to Philly. Shout out to
I'm
Charlie.
not, and I'm not
Do more.
dissing Charlie Baltimore. I have a concern either way with this list.
Well, I'll say this. As your friendly neighborhood female rap historian, female MC expert, which is something that I proudly say and I proudly call myself. I don't think a lot of thought was put into this list. Or I'll say this: I'm happy that it's getting people to talk about it
Yes. Yes, yes,
because
yes.
there because not enough is said about all these dope women.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot is said. Not a lot is said about their contributions to the culture. So you know what? If this gets you all to talking about them, if you don't recognize the name on here, look them up.
Look them up. That's what I
YouTube
say.
them,
Yep.
listen to their music. If you like their music, stream it. Go to the record store and cop the album. Cop the vinyl, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do just educate yourselves. Get better educated, and
Get better educated.
and
Absolutely.
figure out who these people are that you don't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out who they are and find out what it is that they've contributed to the culture because they're on the list for the reason. So, shout out to whoever came up with this list. You have inspired. I hope we're inspiring other people to pay attention to the mothers of the culture because this weekend also happens to be Mother's Day. And in the great words of Roxanne Shante, so when it comes around to the month of May,
Mm-hmm.
send me your royalty check for Mother's Day. Go
So
ahead.
there are three things that I need to say about this list. One of them I just recognized, and you probably already recognized it, and we just didn't talk about it. Salt and pepper's not on this list.
Yeah. I saw that, and the only reason I didn't make a big deal about it is because everybody on here is a soloist. So I am assuming that they only wanted to deal with soloists.
Got it. Okay, that would make sense because Conscious Daughters is also not on here, and
Yeah.
and Jean Grey is also not on here. So I just wanted to point out there are major omissions.
No Jay Greasy. There's no Jay Greasy on here.
There's no Jay Greasy on here, which is really weird. So yeah, go look at these people, go play something.
Yes.
I mean, you can skip Iggy Azalea. It's okay. It's all right.
That one, just take our word for it. You ain't missing nothing.
I mean, Fergie's first record was hot. It ain't hip hop, but it was dope.
No. It's hip hop. It's suburban. It's the suburbs of hip hop.
Right. It's hip hop adjacent. Like,
maybe.
Right. Yo, crazy week.
Crazy week, but you know what? I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. Let's get the people talking. Let's recognize some people that don't often get recognized. Right.
Listen, y'all. Go ahead, Sir Daniel.
Oh no, I was just going to say this has been a really dope show. I enjoyed celebrating our 50th show this way just by chopping it up and chopping it up with you guys. Anybody that's in the Atlanta area, come on through on Saturday to Fit 360. I will be providing the sounds for our good friend Fitz Smith and at the grand opening of his gym in Miami Circle in Buckhead. So you guys should come through. It's an open house. Everybody wants to be their best selves, and Fit 360 might be that place for you to come figure out what you can do to improve yourself on a physical level. So, and if you want to see me in person, by all means stop by and say hello. You can always see me, like J Ray said, at at the Rocksteady Atlanta on Sundays for R&B Sundays. Ray, I almost called you Ray J. Ray, were those wings good or not?
Dumb wings was so good. So I fell through, and the drink I had is called the Pasa Pasa. So if you ever go to Rocksteady, grab you a Pasa Pasa and grab you some of them wings. Them wings with spice, but don't get them if you're afraid of spice because they got a kick. I like spice, so I could have used more. Okay. But if you don't like spice at all, skip them because they're going to give you too much. You got to tell them mild. They were delicious.
Yes. That's what's up.
So listen, y'all, we put the links in there, but make sure that you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. You can also leave us a rating and review. Please do. Also, go on over to Podchaser. Podchaser truly does help us to build more of an audience, because it really does help to spread the word about the show by using Google and like all of these really cool algorithmic SEO things. So leave us a review over there as well as a rating, and you can become a Q Points Insider on our website. And we also put the link to Fit 360 in the chat. So go and hang out with Sir Daniel on Saturday, and go on over to Miami Circle and join the gym. I'm also going to put your Mixcloud, Sir Daniel, because the folks need to be listening to your mixes on Mixcloud because they dope. And you're so welcome. And if you are joining us anywhere except for YouTube, because if you're on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. But if you're anywhere else, make sure you go on over to YouTube and subscribe.
Well, J Ray, what do I always say? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm Sir Daniel.
I'm J Ray, y'all.
This has been Q Points. We'll see you next week.